Hello everyone, in this practice we will identify the components before disassemble and we will prove that the PC runs right. Also we will turn on the PC with the pins placed in the mobile. In the back of the tower we can find the power supply, and in the front of the tower we can find a CD reader, a recorder, a hard disk and a floppy drive. Inside of the tower we can notice the microprocessor cooling, the North chipset, the South chipset, also the graphic card, the RAM, and the motherboard. Here is where the components are connected. Also we can notice the BIOS battery, a guide connector for hard disk, the BIOS, and the front panel connectors of the tower. To check that our PC runs correctly, we have connected to the PC the power supply, the mouse, the keyboard and the screen. In this part we can notice the most important PC ports: PS2 connectors, green to the mouse and purple to the keyboard, the parallel port, the serial port, the audio output, the voice input, the RJ45 connector and the USB ports. Next, now we are going to turn on the computer and we are going to check that the PC runs correctly. The screen is on. The keyboard reacts because we have pressed the key F2 to start the system. And the mouse also runs correctly because the cursor is moving on the screen. In this window we can notice the computer properties. Now we start to disassemble the computer components. In the hard disk we have SATA connectors in data as well as power supply. This is the floppy drive with the VAS cable and the IDE connector. This is the CD recorder with the same connector and his power supply cable, a Molex 4-pin connectors. And this is the CD reader. Next, we show the graphic card with the heatsink for the central chip, the memories, the output connector, and the PCA connection. The power supply is connecting to the mobile with an ATX connector, and with a 4-pin connector we power the processor. When we remove the heatsink, we have found that the processor is in bad condition. Therefore we should leave it in good condition. The two triangular notches show us the processor position. Besides, we disconnected the DDR RAM and also the front connectors of the PC. Here we can notice two USB connections that is connected directly into the mobile for additional ports in the front of the tower for audio and USB. With the tower empty, we can identify the components correctly. CD reader, CD recorder, power supply, microprocessor fan, RAM, microprocessor, graphic card, floppy drive, hard disk and mobile. Now we're going to assemble the PC. Here we can observe that we have cleaned the microprocessor as well as the cooling base, and we have applied thermal paste. This paste prevents the processor from overheating. Thereby the temperature is transmitted to the heatsink. The heatsink has a fan that ejects the heat. With our PC assembled again, we are going to turn on with the pins in the motherboard, touching with a screwdriver the pins. Now we notice that the PC runs correctly.
In this practice also we have opened a laptop MSI G70 to observe the components inside. We can find the Wi-Fi network card with two cables that they are distributed through the laptop until the screen limits. Here it obtains the best Wi-Fi signal. Also we can find a hard disk SSD with micro SATA dimensions. we can notice that this is smaller than a normal hard disk. Here it's the memory RAM, DDR3, the normal hard disk SATA 3, that it works with 7200 RPM, and it has 1 TB of memory. The copper elements are heatsinks. There is one for the CPU, and there are two for the graphic card, because the graphic card generates more heat. This is the CPU, and this is the graphic card. The copper elements are distributed until this fan, that it expels heat through this grating.